Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we are finishing up our Godzilla marathon with the final era, which
Hmm.
is basically still kind of ongoing, and we'll see where it goes from here. But we are talking about the how do you pronounce Riwaya era of Godzilla, which includes the current MonsterVerse by Legendary Studios, Shin Godzilla, and the Netflix anime trilogy. So overall, that's Wolf. I'm curious.
Um. Hmm. I. I don't think this is. Again, I think I'll go out and yeah. I'll definitely say like this still isn't my favorite era. I think I still have to give it to the Heisei era. But
Though it is kind of hard to say necessarily because this era is still ongoing and
yeah,
we
this
don't
is
really know.
this is true. Like there's still more to this era to come, and what's coming in the future could definitely change my opinion. I will say, as of right now, I think the American, the Western um side of this era currently is beating out the Japanese side, the Eastern side of this era for
Hmm.
me currently. I feel like the Netflix trilogy and Shin Godzilla are not as good as the two American films.
I would agree overall with the Netflix trilogy. Shin Godzilla, however, I think it is really good.
Really? We're
Mhm.
gonna we're gonna fight later. I can tell already. You're not gonna like me later. Godzilla fans may not
Like,
like me later
like we
either.
don't fight any other time we do this
Yeah, but
podcast.
I'm not sure I want to make the Godzilla fans mad though, HC.
Well, in terms of the American films, though, I do like the American films, like the new ones, I should say, not the
I
other
mean,
one.
they definitely beat out '98 Godzilla, Roland Emmerich. They bet.
Like that was hard to do. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
obviously, very low bar, right? Set by the original Godzilla Roland Emmerich film. Extremely low bar, not hard to get over. But I feel like, barring the first movie, barring a few things in both movies, they definitely jumped that bar way above. They didn't have to jump far to get over, but they, you know, went above and beyond to get over the bar. I feel like they did exceptionally well with the two American films so far.
Mhm. So, with that said,
Hmm.
I guess we start, by saying this is not necessarily our favorite era, though it has promise.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I'll say this right. Like I'm interested to see where things go. I'm interested to see where the rest of the MonsterVerse set of movies will go and what they'll do with them. And I'm interested to see like I didn't like since we're in a general sense I didn't enjoy Shin Godzilla as much. I'll get into more as to why later. But for me, I'm interested to see where they go after Shin Godzilla if there's another movie coming. If there's,
Which is
if they're going
actually
to
a really
continue on
interesting
that.
point. Yeah, this is actually an interesting point we should discuss with this era that Shin Godzilla, as of right now, is the only live action Japanese made movie.
Hmm.
Like the others are animated, and the next piece of Japanese media coming in this era is
Yes.
an anime
That was
series.
recently announced.
Yeah, very
Very
recently
recently.
announced. Mhm.
So I'm interested to see if they come up with another live action movie and if they choose to connect it to Shin Godzilla and how they continue on with that. I'm interested to see that. But I wasn't a huge fan of Shin Godzilla, as said. And again, we'll get into that a bit later when we kind of go into
Yeah, we'll
each
get to it a
thing
bit
in more
later,
detail.
but well, so let's start with the two American ones because after a
Okay.
long break, 10-year break, suddenly Godzilla comes back with another American attempt to bring the monster to Hollywood.
Hmm.
And we had the Godzilla 2014, which nowadays a lot of people are kind of looking back on, and it's a very hated or loved movie. But personally, when I first saw it, I really liked it, and I still think it's a very well made piece, though it has problems.
I would agree. I think from this, I remember hearing one of the biggest complaints about this movie was, they and I had no clue exactly as to how or why, but I remember hearing when it first came out, the one of the biggest complaints, and I never saw it, was that they did Bryan Cranston dirty in this movie. That's the only complaint I heard, and I had no
Yeah,
clue
this
why.
is one of those things that, obviously you can't, probably spoiler tag from here on out because these movies are more recent,
Yeah,
so
some of them are
spoilers.
at least. Some of them are a few
Mhm.
years old now, like the
Well, honestly,
2014 Godzilla.
Godzilla 2014 is like is the oldest one of these two, and it's just became 6 years old.
Yeah,
So spoilers just to be sure.
that's fair. But yeah, they do Bryan Cranston dirty in this movie, and now I understand and know exactly as to why. And watching the movie, I'm honestly of the opinion that the problem with this film is how it handles its characters, I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, in this movie, we're introduced to Bryan Cranston's character, and, it's motherfucking Bryan Cranston. He does great as an actor.
Yeah.
Amazing job here. And again, you feel for him. You get to, see his story start off, and his wife dies, and he definitely blames himself for it because he's the one who sent her down into the reactor when this, monster, or what they thought was like a quake or some other thing, destroyed the reactor and she died, right? And he blamed himself, and you kind of see fast forward, his son that they had has grown up now, and he kind of has his own life, and he just doesn't want to deal with his dad and his nonsense and his craziness, right? And eventually, they go back in to try to get to the reactor one more time to see what's going on, to see if they can find anything, and they get caught, and all this happens, and the monster, and they find out that it was a monster that destroyed the reactor. It wasn't a quake or anything else that happened, and the monster comes to life, and we have this big giant Muto now, and Bryan Cranston's character dies, and that's it for him.
This was actually, this is actually something that when I first saw the movie, I was getting really invested with Bryan Cranston's character. Like you said, he's a fantastic actor and he does well with this role. And when they killed him, I didn't necessarily think it's Bryan Cranston because I haven't watched Breaking Bad at the time.
Hmm.
So his name kind of escaped me,
Yeah,
but I was like, I like this guy. I want to know more about him. And then they kill him, and it's like, damn it. Like, he dies before Godzilla even shows up, technically.
yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, right, they do so much in building him up that to me, it feels like, why not let him be the quote unquote Dr. Sarazawa moving forward? Because we're introduced
Mhm.
to Dr. Sarazawa, played by Ken Watanabe. I hope
Who
I
is
pronounced that right.
also pretty great. I
And
love
he
him in
he
these
does
movies.
great, but you don't feel as much of a connection to him in this movie, right? This character you have this connection to, but it's kind of his son who carries it forward from that point on.
Yeah.
And you just don't get as much of a connection to his son, I feel. And so it
Yeah, that's
kind of
another thing I
feels,
agree with. That
yeah.
once it starts focusing on his son, it starts going downhill a bit. And not,
The son's not
but
a bad
I get.
character,
I
mind.
should mention this though. Before I should mention this that the son is played by I forgot his name. Um, what's his face? Like Aaron Taylor Johnson or something.
Yeah,
I don't.
he's the person who plays the son, yeah.
Yeah, and his wife is played by Elizabeth Olsen.
Hmm.
And it's funny that they play husband and wife in this movie, and then a year later in Avengers: Age of Ultron, they played Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver respectively. Well, brother and sister. Wrap your head around that.
Cool.
I love how this is your reaction to it. cool.
I mean, yeah, it's but yeah, like I feel their focus is the weakest part of this movie, right? I
Mhm.
feel if they hadn't have involved, I don't know. I feel like the Bryan Cranston part was so enjoyable, but it
Yeah.
feels kind of pointless because it
Mhm.
doesn't feel like the son character is set up in a way that really works. I don't know. I just don't feel as invested in him and his
I think
family.
I think that Bryan Cranston just left such a huge impact,
This is
even
true
with a little
because
screen time he did have. Maybe if Bryan Cranston wasn't in this movie at all, I would have been singing a different tune here. But as is, he steals the show early on, and then
oh yeah,
when he dies, it's kind of like
I mean, yeah, I mean, the scenes he's are in, like, I don't want to say he's like eating, like chewing the scenery because that's kind of a bad thing from my understanding.
no,
But,
it's not showing the scenery. He's just the focus is on him. He knows how to get this through. He knows
I
how
mean,
to
yeah,
get the
but that's
performance.
what I'm saying. Like, right, like he, again, like you say, he steals the show in such a way that it makes everything come after kind of feel a bit. Man, I miss Bryan Cranston. And when you're going through the rest of the film saying, man, I wish Bryan Cranston was here right now. When after he's dead, it kind of hurts the characters that come after, even though some of these characters are good. You know, the guy who played, Ken Watanabe, the guy who plays Serizawa, he's fun, he's enjoyable, and his back and forth with the uh, military leader dude. They have a good back and forth. There's some fun there, and you have Ford Brody, Bryan Cranston's character's son. You have him. He's not terrible. He's fun. He has some decent moments here and there, but it's just that I just don't. I feel there's a connection that's lost, and I feel like maybe they could have. Like, I get what they did with Bryan Cranston's character, right? Like, that was set up to give us a reason to follow Ford Brody, right? As he moves forward and tries to get back to his own family and deal with Godzilla and these two mutos, right?
Yeah,
But I don't know. I feel like because that setup was so good, it kind of takes away from the fact that, well, you're here, you're
hmm
okay, but the setup for you is so good, and you're kind of just lackluster hoorah military now, and it's
and
kind
the
of
thing is, one of the
eh.
things I've been questioning about this since I first saw the movie is that, do you think a different actor could have made this better? Like if it wasn't the same, if it was someone else, like if it was a performance issue, because I'm
Do you
thinking that
mean
maybe it could have been.
change out the person who played Ford Brody?
Yeah, if it was a different
Maybe.
actor.
Again, I don't think Aaron Taylor. It's Aaron Taylor
Yeah.
Johnson who plays Ford Brody. I don't think
Yeah,
he
no,
was
he's not a bad
bad.
actor at all. I like him in other roles, and
Hmm.
honestly, he's doing fine here. I'm just thinking, if it was someone who could actually be on
You
the
know,
same level as Bryan Cranston, if it would have been any
reading
different.
up on it, they have Henry Cavill as someone who they were thinking about having play this role. I wonder what that would have been like.
You know,
This is the same
I
person who
honestly,
played
I
the witch Geralt
honestly
in The
think it
Witcher.
worked. Mhm.
Do what? Say again.
No, I agree. Like, considering The Witcher and considering how he's the best part in the DCEU, honestly, because he's managing to do something with a role that has nothing. I would have loved to see this because I think the role is written interestingly. It's just maybe a different person could have made it work better.
I think another issue is that it's too. I feel like the Ford Brody character. I think it would have been more interesting if he was more connected to the science side of things, because I guess spoilers in general. I'm going to spoil a bit of the next movie. He's not in the next movie at
Yeah.
all, anywhere, and I feel like
Mhm.
that's kind of a loss. I kind of feel like
Yeah,
that's
kind of
a
jumping
loss.
the gun here. The only character that comes back to King of the Monsters, the sequel, is Sarazala.
No, his assistant does.
Okay, he is assistant. So, you know,
She's not in the movie
basically.
for very long. We'll get to that, but
But
she's
the point
there.
is, none of Ford's family is coming back. Not his wife, not his kid. They were basically focusing on a new group of people.
Yeah, the Ford family is gone, and which there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it feels like there was all this setup done, and it's like maybe you could have done a bit more if you would have had him back for the next movie, and maybe it would have worked better if you know Bryan Cranston's son, ooh, sorry, you didn't hear that. If you would have had Ford be a bit more, I guess, quote unquote nerdy, be a bit more into the science of things and not just be, uh, working for the U.S. Navy and all that, and be more military focused. Like, take a little bit of that away and be a bit more science focused with his character, like his, father and stuff like that. And that way you could have carried him further and it would have felt more connected because he could have been more involved, right? As it
Mhm.
stands, it's more so this story of dude just trying to get home while monster attacks, and it's like that's cool, that's an interesting take, but
Which is actually this is actually something I do like when it comes to the cinematography and the tone that that they are kind of trying to do something that to an extent Cloverfield brought to the table
mhm,
with this genre, which is showing more of the people side of things.
which I think works well here. I think they do
Yeah, it
very well
works
at it.
really well, and to bring up some of the why I really enjoy this movie, the cinematography is great. Like
Hmm.
the Halo jump scene, where they're jumping
Mm,
out
that was
of the
really
plane.
good. Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
It's
Hello.
yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. I thought you died there for a second, but yeah, I
No,
completely
no,
agree. It's absolutely, some of the shots in this movie are absolutely amazing and enjoyable to see. But again, it's just the characters kind of take it kind of, they're not terrible, they're just not, everything else in the movie is done really well. They are kind of the problem, I guess you would say, or
yeah.
it's the setup for them that is kind of the problem. Again, I feel like if they wanted to do the guy just trying to get home after, and
Mhm.
trying to get back to his family while giant monster attacks, and he's kind of just in the wrong places at the wrong times, almost consistently so. And it's like,
Mhm.
I feel like maybe we shouldn't have had the setup we had. Maybe we shouldn't have had all the setup with Bryan Cranston in order to get to this point, right? In order to have our guy just trying to get home while giant monster attacks, and then he eventually ends up, you know, helping, quote unquote, to save the day a little bit. If we didn't have that, it's the setup. I feel, again, sorry, I'm kind of circling back through everything multiple times here, but yeah, I feel like either change the setup or just
It's okay.
do something more with Bryan Cranston's character, or connect Aaron Taylor Johnson's character more to that setup, then I think it could have worked better. And I think it could have made the movie shine a lot more, potentially. Not going to say it would have completely done great and would have absolutely been the best thing ever, but to me, I think it would have worked better. Maybe, potentially.
Maybe.
I would have enjoyed it more at least.
But to talk about it, the big criticism this movie got back in the day was that there wasn't enough Godzilla.
I
Which,
heard that too, yeah.
if you've seen a Japanese Godzilla movie, he's not that much of a he's not the king of screen time that much in those movies either. But something bugged people about this one in particular, that he's not
Yeah.
in it a whole lot. And honestly, I do agree to some extent. I like what they were trying to do, which is build them up. I
Hmm.
really like that. The thing is that every time you think the build up is over, it turns out
It's
that they
more
are
build
just
up.
teasing you.
More build up. More build up.
Mhm. Like, I will say this: actually, Godzilla's the first time he actually shows up in the movie at
Sorry.
the airport. It's okay. So the scene where he shows up at the airport. fantastic reveal. I was
Oh yeah.
grinning like an idiot in his watching this in theaters. I loved this reveal. Like the design of him looks great. I don't know what they did with the role, but the role sounds incredible.
Hmm.
And you think Godzilla is fucking back. And then all of a sudden they cut to Ford's kid, and we kind of see glimpses of the fight on TV, and it's like I get what you're trying to do, that you're trying to build this up so you won't get sick of the monster battles when it comes to the final one, but at the same time, you could give us a bit more before then.
Yeah, they
Just
kind
a
of
bit.
cut away at times where I would have liked a bit more. But going into this, right, I heard this complaint and I'd never seen any of the movie, right? My thought was he was hardly in the movie at all until the very end. So I came away thinking, well, that's not as bad as people made it out to be. He's there. You can kind of get some of him. And I feel that the big final fight is good enough that,
This is actually something I will say. Even though Godzilla is not in the film a lot, whenever he shows up, boy, does he leave an impression.
hmm, agreed. Like, when he's there and you know it. And again, I think the final fight is enough. It is good enough, right? Between Godzilla and the two mutos. I guess these are
Yeah.
new mutants. Uh,
That is actually one of the things that, when this film was making its rounds, it's like, okay, he looks like Godzilla. He's big enough, already a step away from Zilla. Now I just need to see him breathe the atomic breath. And when this thing starts firing up and you see like the tail and the spines on the tail
yes.
glow,
I love
and
that.
it
I love
like
the sound
slowly
they added to
builds
that
up.
too, because you have that nee 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 with the tail, and it kind of builds up. I
Yeah,
love how
it's
they changed that.
great.
That is a great addition. That is an absolutely great addition. I love that. I think that's something like if Japanese Godzilla takes anything from the American slash Western version, right? Take the tail build up thing and that sound, that noise. It is great. Do use that. That is great. That is wonderful.
Because like you can actually see it's like an engine charging
Yes,
up. It's
I
great.
think that's a great thing personally. Other
Yeah.
Godzilla fans may hate it, but I think that's a great thing. I love
No,
that.
like let's say it like this: when fans complain about this movie, it's not about Godzilla himself.
Fair, very fair.
Right? And I will say again that when the way he kills the second Muto, where I thought he was gonna like King Kong it and rip its jaw open, but then oh no, he breathes the atomic breath into this thing's neck, and
Yeah,
it's like holy shit.
it's great. It's very great.
Mhm. And the ending bit of this movie actually, where after he like faints and then like he wakes up and you see him walking back into the ocean, and I really like this ending. It's a nice. Nobody is saying anything. Nobody in the no words that you need to hear or something. You just see Godzilla after being badass going back. Going away. He did his thing. I'm out. Bye.
Well, the
I don't
the
know. I really like this ending.
well, another thing I noticed, like the MonsterVerse here seems to be setting up. Godzilla's not the antagonist. He's just kind of chilling, doing
Well,
his
it's not
thing.
really something. He has been the hero in a few of the Showa Island
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, no, he's definitely been the hero in other eras of the Japanese stuff, but this is the first time we've seen him in the Western version. Which, to be fair, we've only had one other Western movie, so. But it's interesting here because we have the Eastern Shin Godzilla portraying Godzilla as more of the villain at the moment, and then and the anime, the Netflix anime, definitely kind of portraying him more as the villain. And then we have him here where he's not necessarily a villain, but he's not necessarily a hero. It's kind of just he's an animal doing his thing. It's more back to the kind of animal doing his thing kind of sort of deal. And but also he's a bit of the hero who's saving the day because he's fighting the other giant monsters and killing them. I don't know. I kind of like the contrast that we're having at the moment. It's two kind of
Yeah, and
sides doing their very
I
different things.
remember some people who don't know Godzilla actually ask me why is he a hero? He's supposed to be. It's like, what the hell do you know? What do you care?
Godzilla's been a hero before. Trust.
Yeah.
I've seen more
Mhm.
of Godzilla than I care to admit at this point.
You're welcome.
I'm an expert on Godzilla now.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be, but I am now. I'm not, but I can say that. I've seen most of the
Well,
movies.
mhm.
But
What can I
again,
say
I've enjoyed it
except
so far.
you're
I've very much
welcome?
enjoyed it. Yes, I've very much enjoyed it. That's
What?
not a complaint. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think
So,
this isn't, the best American version of Godzilla I think we've gotten. I think the next Godzilla film
well,
in the MonsterVerse takes
honestly,
that.
since King of the Mountains is a sequel, I would say it's the right direction.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think this is a good first step for a Godzilla for, like we had the Roland Emmerich film in the past. There was a lot of skepticism. Could the West make a Godzilla film and make an actual Godzilla film? Like I remember that being a thing, right? When this movie was first announced, like a lot of people were worried, like, can they do a Godzilla film? Because everybody kind of remembered the Roland Emmerich film and was like, eh. But I think, they came out. It wasn't perfect, but this was a damn good first step in
Mhm.
my opinion, and it definitely
Mhm.
sets the bar for the next film that comes
Which,
after.
yeah, we just a note, we do know Shin Godzilla came and the Netflix trilogy came in between those two movies, but
Mhm.
since they are direct sequels to each other, we are talking about King of the Monsters first. And
Mhm.
this is the most recent out of the movies we're talking about. It's like it just turned a year old a few months back.
Yes. Well, I will say, before we move on, one last thing I want to ask you: what did you think about the Mutos? Their design.
Yeah, I like the idea that we actually had original monster villains, and they weren't
Mhm.
necessarily someone from the previous movies.
Mhm.
Because the one thing about the TriStar version was that Zilla was on his own, and he had nothing to fight. So I appreciated there was a rival this time,
Yeah.
and I also like the idea that not only is it an original monster, but they also kind of made two of them. It's like a one against two fight. So
Mhm.
what better way to show how awesome Godzilla is by taking out two monsters at once?
Yeah. Agreed. And I guess to that question, also, what did you think about the change? Because there is a bit of a change in Godzilla's design for these films. So, what did you think about that?
I really like this. I think this is like, you know how I said about the design of Mechagodzilla in the previous episode, that the Millennium Mechagodzilla is like a perfect design and a perfect fusion
Hmm.
of like the two previous designs and kind of giving it its own spin. I think the same about this one. This is like, you can look at it and say this is Godzilla, but at the same time, his face looks a bit more reptilian. He is bigger
He's
than
chunky.
he is bigger than
Godzilla put on
than the other
gains.
version.
This Godzilla
Hmm.
went out, got beefy, and put on some gains because he's a chunky fella. But I kind of like that. I
Hmm.
kind of like the fact that he's like
You
bulkier
know,
and
this
bigger.
is actually something that apparently the Japanese audience thought he's too fat.
That's he is definitely like chunky, right? Like there's no denying that he's very much chunky. But I kind of enjoy that a little bit. I kind of like the fact that he's just so big and bulky. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I enjoy this design. I think it's good. It's better than Zilla's very skinny design. Hello.
We shall see. So, moving on to Godzilla, King of the Monsters from last year. I
Mm-hmm.
want to say to all the people who complained that there was not enough Godzilla in 24, there are too many monster movies, I have two words to tell you. Fuck off.
Yeah, you get all the monsters in this one, but
This complaint baffled me so freaking much. Like, really, people?
so you want to repeat the complaint again? You kind of
that
dipped out there.
people were like, about 2014. Oh, there's not enough Godzilla, not enough monsters, and then of a monster shows up and it's like, oh, there's too much of it. There's too much action. It's like, are
Oh,
you
they
freaking
complain.
kidding me?
So wait, just to be clear, people complained that when the monsters did show up in 2014, there was too much, or they complained about this movie having too much action with the monsters.
No, 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 no. In this one, in King of the Monsters, like in King of the Monsters, it's like they tried to address the criticism that there wasn't enough monster battles, that there wasn't enough Godzilla,
Uh huh.
and then people were like, "Oh, now there's too much Godzilla," and
Really?
yeah,
It's like make up your mind,
that
damn it.
baffled me. Like that baffled me so much, and it's like honestly, let's what, to kind of address the elephant in the room. King of the Monsters didn't get all that great reviews, and this is one of those movies I really want to grab the critics by the shirt and ask, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
I liked this movie. I can't
I
imagine why it didn't get good. Like, I
like
think
it
it's,
too.
I think it has problems, but the monsters aren't the problem here.
Definitely not.
Like the monster fights, they're
You
not the
know,
problem.
you know what? Let's get some things out of the way now. Yeah, let's get this out of the way now. Yeah, the writing can be cheesy, but it's a freaking monster movie. What did you expect,
I mean,
Shakespeare?
I
And
didn't think the
to
writing was
yes,
cheesy.
some
My,
of the
oh, go ahead. I'll wait.
no, I was like because there are
You're
some
kind
like
of
I
just
actually
to let
love
you
this
know,
line, but not necessarily for the right
you're kind of going
reasons.
in and out a bit.
Oh,
Like you've
that
been
give me
doing
a
it
second.
quite often. Sorry. Figured I'd let you know.
Give me a second.
All right. While he's gone, I enjoyed this film.
Let,
Oh,
let's hope it looks.
yeah. Let's see. So yeah, yeah, I like this film. I don't see how this film could get better used. I think this is absolutely, a good sequel to the first Godzilla film.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think like my complaint would definitely not I love the monsters in this. I love seeing like we get a ton of different monsters in this. We get a ton of different monster fights in this, and I loved seeing them all. My only issue would be character deaths, right? Like they try and build up, like again we see Dr. Sarazawa's assistant in the first half of this film. She dies almost immediately. She dies,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Mhm.
oh no, she's gone. That lady, I knew her so well. I actually liked her.
Yeah, I get
No.
it. Like, but Sarazawa's death was actually kind of impactful.
Yeah, Sarazawa's death was at least a bit impactful, but I feel like it could have been more if they would have done more with him in the first film. I feel like, they have Dr. Sarazawa, the leader of Monarch, and it's like he don't really feel like it. I feel like he should have had a stronger presence in the first movie, and I think that's kind of that's why I go back to the Bryan Cranston issue. I feel like they should have what they did for Bryan Cranston's character. They should have used,
Due to yeah, I
Sarazawa.
kind of agree with this.
That way, this death here would have really hit. It hits, but I think it doesn't hit as well as it possibly could have. But I mean, it's still amazing to see, Serizawa, like, they have to. Godzilla's wounded and he's trying to regain his strength, and they need Godzilla to beat Ghidorah. So, we have to launch a nuke down there. Oh, we can't launch a nuke anymore. Someone has to deliver the nuke. Someone's going to die. So Dr. Serizawa's like, I'll do it. I'll go. And it's like, and this place is highly, radioactive and highly, hot in there. So if you go in there, you're going to die very quickly. So even without setting off a nuke in there, but he goes in there and he kind of, has this moment with Godzilla of, I believe in you, go out there, kick Ghidorah's ass. And yeah, again, it's touching. Like, you see the respect, that
By the way,
Serizawa has
but
for
the scene that
Godzilla.
follows, if I may just say, the scene that follows of like Godzilla waking up bigger and stuff, and you hear the theme, like the original
Mm,
Godzilla theme,
that was
such a
so.
great
Oh
moment.
yeah, that was great. That was really well done. But again, like, I love that you get Serizawa. You see the respect and admiration he has for Godzilla as a, as a creature, as an animal, right? And again, it's
Mhm.
just enjoyable to see. It's a good moment. I feel like if we could have gotten more from Serizawa's character and more build up, I think that would have made this moment really shine. And
Yeah.
maybe that's what they'll give us with King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know.
hmm
But
We'll get to that in a bit,
but
but
yeah, I
Okay, so
oh
I have
boy.
a lot of things to say about this movie, but
Yeah. Something that we gotta. Our main villain is a crazy ass white lady. Like, you can
yeah.
say it's the eco terrorist old dude, but no, our main villain basically ends up being crazy ass white lady who's like, I must avenge my son, and I will do that by destroying the world. And it's like, bitch, please. Your crazy ass, get your crazy ass out of here.
Mhm.
Crazy ass white lady. Why is it? I mean, to be fair, clap to Hollywood. Normally it's a crazy ass white man, but this time it's a crazy ass white lady. So claps to Hollywood. Progress here. But still, it's a crazy ass white lady. Could it not
uh,
be something at least a little bit different?
Actually, one thing I do want to say because I was really excited to hear that Millie Bobby Brown is gonna be in this
Yeah,
movie.
she does
You know,
great here.
11. Yeah, she does great, but at the same time, I think she also has little to do.
Yeah, it would have been nice if she would have been given a bit more, but still, she sells it. Like,
No, she sells it, and
she's a
I
great
haven't.
actress in Stranger Things.
She is confirmed to come back to Godzilla versus Kong,
Oh, that's
so
great.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of her.
Hopefully, she gets more to do even more. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I I can't wait to see where she goes as an actress, right? Because in Stranger Things as
Mhm.
11, she's amazing. In here, she's even
Yeah.
better, and it's nice to see her in a role where she can talk more.
Yeah, like I was just happy to see her on the big screen, and in, being a part of such a big legacy.
Like, yeah, I like, you didn't tell I knew nothing about this film going in, and you did not tell me she was in this film, so I had no clue. So I was like, oh, it's 11. Cool. This will be great. I'm interested to see where she goes with this. And she does wonderful. I love her character. I love her as an actress. She is a wonderful person. So, again, like, anything she's in, I'm very hyped for because she's a great actress already. So I can't wait to see where she goes. But she does wonderful here as the crazy white scientist lady's daughter. But and then we have her dad and oh, what is his name? Let me look it up real quick. Uh, her dad also does fairly well as well. I feel, and the actor who
I will
plays
say
him.
that I like what they kind of try to do with this family, and they kind of that kind of put out that they're not really functioning and stuff.
Yeah,
I like the idea. Execute. I still think they're not the best human characters you can put in this kind of movie, but I enjoy them.
I feel like
I enjoy them more than Ford. I will tell you this
yeah,
much.
I feel like all three of them are more enjoyable than Ford's character was in the first film. Ford wasn't bad, but I feel like this is a better step up, right? Because again, they are more connected to the main plot of what's going on. All of them feel connected to it, and all of them feel like they have a stake in what's going on to some description. It's a little bit ridiculous that, it's family issues that are basically the cause of the giant monsters destroying the world, but
Well,
moving past. But I mean, Godzilla in the past, looking at some of the Japanese films, they've had stranger things going on. They've definitely had
Stranger
stranger
Things
plots.
because 11 is in this movie. Aha! I see
I
what
quit.
you did.
I quit.
Well, actually, can we point out the best line? Can we point out the best line in this movie?
Uh huh.
Not necessarily for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Zilla!
Fair.
That line. Maybe not for the right reasons, but I love this line. Okay, and now we can talk about the monsters. Holy shit, the monster battles. Holy fuck. The monsters, for one, seeing Ghidorah, Rodan, and Matra in those, in this style, they look amazing, all of them.
Yes. Rodan looked great in this. I loved their design for Rodan. And
Yeah,
Mothra also. Like,
Rodan.
I love the CG here is really good. Like, they did
Mhm.
exceptionally well on it. I know
Yeah, and I
Godzilla's
also
normally not a
like
CG
that,
thing, but they did great
different
here.
take. Yeah, and different take on Ghidorah. You probably maybe you've seen this meme that this kind of implies that all of his that each one of his heads has a different personality.
Hmm. I liked it. It was a
Yeah,
neat
I
little
like it
addition.
too.
It, you know, it,
Yeah,
it, it gives Ghidorah a
like
bit
it
more
too. That like
character.
the middle head kind of tries to keep them together. The left head is is kind of a goofball, and the right head hates the left head.
Yep.
It's great. I like it.
It's fun. It's a neat little addition. And, you
Mhm.
learn that King Ghidorah in this is also still an alien and he can control the other mutants, but he
Yeah,
can't control Godzilla, and they're both kind of apex predators, so it's Ghidorah versus Godzilla. And then you have
yeah.
Rodan come in and try and attack Godzilla as well, and then Mothra comes in and attacks Rodan, and Mothra just kicks the shit out of Rodan, stabs him straight
Yeah,
through the heart.
even though she dies, she fights honorably in this.
Oh yeah, Mothra was great in this.
Yeah, actually, Matra's reveal, when they see her wings and stuff, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's really well done. Like, again, I love
And
the color in this
also,
film.
establishing Ghidorah as the villain, I like in the first fight he has with Godzilla. I like that you can actually see a wide shot of just standing one against each other, and you can see that Godzilla is actually the smaller of the two.
Well, mostly
Like at the
because
start
Ghidorah's
of
got
the
some giant ass wings, like
yeah, but
giant ass wings.
yeah, but it's interesting to suddenly see Godzilla being like the little guy compared to someone else.
Hmm.
And then you have the atomic breath, which in the first movie, it's like his secret weapon. It's like if all is lost, I'm using this, and then Ghidorah just dodges it. Like a great way to set up this villain.
Agreed. I also love how they kind of expand the world a bit more here, where you kind of see like you know, someone in the last movie talked about how, oh, there's this hollow Earth where there's all these interconnected tunnels under the Earth, and it was never proven. But in this film, it's proven, and you learn that there was this ancient civilization apparently that built cities in this hollow Earth, and they lived down there with Godzilla in all that radiation somehow. Who knows? But you know, and didn't die. Who
Science,
knows?
wolf science.
Yes, science. But again, it's cool that they expanded the world this way, and they kind of expanded on, hey, all these different ancient civilizations actually worship these monsters as gods and things like that. Let's connect, the different monsters to these ancient civilizations, and here's representations of Ghidorah. Like, it's cool how they tried to connect it to myth and kind of build the world in that way, right? And make it feel more believable, if you will. Like, they've always been existed, they've always existed, they've always been here, and we've just kind of never took note of it. We excused it as myth, but actually it's true, and here's the living proof. Godzilla himself, right? It's cool how they connected it, and and we see like there's a giant mammoth, uh,
Yeah.
monster. There's the queen, the original Muto came back as well. There's what else is there? There's like a giant snake
There's a
thing,
spider. There's a
and the
spider from
spider.
Kong Skull Island that shows up.
And we see like some archival footage of Kong a little
Mhm.
bit, I think, like here at the
Yeah, they
end.
do reference Kong because at this point, Kong Skull Island, which is great. Go see it, by the way, as a
That's is
side
that
note.
out? That's not
Uh,
out yet, is it?
no, it's
Godzilla
out.
versus.
It was
Oh, you're
out in
talking about.
2017.
Oh, you're talking about it. I was talking about Godzilla versus Kong. That's not out
Oh
yet.
no no no, that's incoming. But
But the
Kong Skull Island,
Kong
yeah,
Skull Island is connected to the MonsterVerse.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out.
This is like actually there is a post credit scene in Kong which sets up Godzilla technically.
Oh, so Kong's kind of first.
It's debatable who came first because Kong is supposed to be like 100 years old, but then again Godzilla is
I mean, like
prehistoric.
in
So
the movie verse, the
yeah,
Kong
in
movie
this
is like the
monster
first
verse,
one
yes,
ish, right? Okay, cool, neat.
yeah. So yeah, this is obvious. There's obviously setup for Godzilla versus Kong, which I'll talk about in a bit.
But I think this is hands down a better movie overall than the first one. It's still a little bit weak on the character side of things, but to be fair, Godzilla films have always been a bit weak on the human character side of things. It's always been a bit more about the monsters and the giant monster
Demolishes.
fights.
What?
So, do what now? Repeat that.
Like the when they reference like Godzilla's burn from Destroyer,
Oh yes, that was
this
good.
was great.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's really
expect
good.
it, but I appreciate the reference.
Yeah, they brought everything back for this film. Like they brought all the references in for this film. Like you said, the some of the original music was played for certain
Yeah,
scenes.
Macro's team is also in there at some
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, you can hear all of it, and you can kind of just see all the different stuff coming together and everything. It's really enjoyable and really fun. Like it's a great film. The our main villain and their kind of deal is somewhat weak, but it's excusable. I feel it's like it's the weakest part of the film, sure, but it's not the most important part of the film for the most part. Like I can get by it. I find it hilarious. This is why the world is basically in turmoil because of this crazy white lady, but I find it kind of stupid. But
Well,
it's I
honestly,
can move past it, right? Like it's not completely why I'm there, and the characters do sell it fairly well. Like she sells, why she's doing it fairly well. I think it's stupid and crazy, but she still sells it fairly well as an act. The actress still sells it fairly well. You know, Millie Bobby Brown plays a great role as their daughter and trying to be, a child in this completely messed up family. And again, like you have, Dr. Sarazawa's character, he goes out in a really cool way and his assistant lady doesn't, but she was barely there to begin with. So,
mhm.
sorry.
Like again, this movie is not perfect, but for what it is,
No.
I think it's great.
But I mean, again, I think it's a bit more true to some of the old Godzilla stuff. None of those movies were perfect, but they did it
Yeah,
well, and this
like
does it well.
you can kind of tell it was made by fans,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, this is I think yeah, like I think I'm saying I think it's way too much. I think that this is the start of a good Western version of Godzilla. I don't, I
And
would.
also, like I told you, I kind of teased it to you last time that the post-credit scene kind of implies that Mechagodzilla is gonna show up.
It also implies that we might get more of Ghidorah, maybe even Mecha Ghidorah, possibly,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
cool.
that's the thing because there are also rumors that say that Mechagodzilla is gonna be in Godzilla versus Kong.
Hmm.
Obviously, nothing is confirmed. Outside of one picture we and a few castings, we've seen nothing of that movie,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to come out like twice this year. And god damn it, bring this movie already.
Well, pandemic, so understandable.
Well, other movies have been released on the Netflix and stuff due to the pandemic. Give me this. I just want to see a dinosaur and a monkey punch each other. Is it really this hard?
Yes, it is.
Fuck.
But
What do you want me to say?
yeah, fair. Yeah, I'm. This is a good start, and I'm very interested to see where the American, the Western version of Godzilla goes from here. Like they've definitely caught my
Actually,
interest now.
one final thing I want to point out that I really like is that usually the King of the Monsters title for Godzilla always kind of basically like a kind of a given name. Like it didn't really have anything to do with the plot. Here they actually brought this up as a plot point.
Yeah, it's he's kind of the apex predator. He can kind of control the other monsters and tell them to like, hey, stop your shit or I'll kill you. So they're like,
And this
okay,
is why I think, and this is why I always draw him fighting Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Because come on,
he
this
is the
concept is
alpha.
too
They're
good.
basically two alphas versus each other. Yeah, Toothless loses, but fair.
Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure.
Oh, now you're making the Godzilla fans mad.
It's time for a death battle.
If they're going to do a death battle, they'd probably have to do. I mean, You know who would win this one, but it would still be interesting. Godzilla versus Omelette.
Uh,
Omelette would lose, but it would still be fun.
yeah. Hmm. Okay, so until Godzilla vs. Kong show comes out sometime, and this is it for the American branch.
Hmm.
And now let's talk about the Japanese branch, which started in between with Shin Godzilla. Now you say you didn't really like this one.
I don't think it's a terrible movie, but I didn't enjoy the focus on the political side of things. Like this movie focuses, I feel like the kind of idea of this movie is, oh, here's, the government of Japan, and that's what we're going to kind of focus on, and it's the government trying to deal with giant monster attacking Japan, giant, attacking different cities within Japan. Like how would the government react to this? And so we're really going to focus in on these, on the government side of things, and like, oh, here's kind of the main character we're going to focus on, whose name is Yaguchi, I believe.
Yeah, hell,
No, him.
him, right? It's a him,
See,
of
that's the
course.
that's the problem. Like you don't really remember, like that's the problem I had. There's no real memorable characters here because it's mostly just guys in suits kind of doing their jobs and trying to figure out how to do their job while dealing with something that's completely out of the ordinary for them, which is cool and interesting, but the problem is there's no real character to really get behind in this one. You have Yaguchi here, but he just feels like he kind of blends into the background a lot. And I'm not really used to that from Godzilla. Godzilla tends to have like, yeah, here's, the human side of things doing stuff, but we're going to really hammer in and focus on these specific characters and you kind of know them and remember them and you can kind of get behind them. This
Mhm.
one I feel like a lot of the human characters are, and again, like, again, the human characters aren't really the focus here. Fair, right? It's Godzilla, he's the focus. Who cares about the human side of things? But it's just, I don't know, we see so much of the politics of these characters doing their politics deal, doing their government reacting to Godzilla and how to deal with Godzilla, that I would like it if there was someone here I could get behind and have a focus on, you know?
This I kind of agree with you that there is a bit too much focus on the politics, but I think that the good parts, I walked away from this movie, remember, being excited more about the good parts of this movie
Oh,
than the
sure.
bad one.
Oh, I agree. Like, it's not a terrible movie, and I like the fact that they took the like, hey, let's focus on the government side of things, and this is how they would react. It's different, it's new, it's unique, and that's why I would say I'm interested to see if they continue on that style of things, and I would like to see them do more with it because there is a unique idea there. I just don't think this movie succeeds at pulling it off completely, right?
But I do want to point out the stuff that I find interesting, and for one, that we have a Japanese Godzilla reboot that is not like connected to the original.
Yes,
This is
finally.
the full-on reboot.
Finally.
And also, I like that we actually get to see Godzilla grow up, like because it starts as this like baby
Little
form,
weird.
which by the way is creepy as fuck.
Yes. Very.
By the way, I need to show you fan art of this because
No.
people
No.
have made that baby Godzilla look
No.
adorable in
No.
fan
You
art.
can't. No. I do not believe. No. It's
No,
creepy.
okay,
It's
you know what?
disgusting. Bleh.
We're
No.
doing live. We're doing it live. Hold on.
Oh
As we were
no.
talking about this, we're doing
Oh my
live.
god.
I'm going to.
I quit.
Yeah,
Stream's
there we
over. We're not
go.
doing it live.
No, you're not quitting. No, you're not quitting. I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find. Let's see.
Too late. I'm
You
back.
actually did it.
I actually left. Yes. I'm back.
Well, jokes on you. This isn't really gonna work because the other one recording, but I know
I
that.
know.
Oh, look at this! Somebody did a Bowsette thing on it.
Oh god. I can only. Oh god. I can only imagine. Oh god. I'm going to show this
representing
image to the stream. It's going to be. I'm going to add it to the stream, just so you're aware.
Yeah, once I find it, god damn it. Of course not. There it is. There it is. There's
Oh
one.
no.
There's one. Save image. Let's put this on the desktop so it will be easy. Let's open. This is the Discord chat. I am posting it now. Enjoy.
Uh, uh,
You said you're gonna post it. This is what people did with
let
this
me.
form. This is real.
I'm going to get it put up into the stream for people to see. We're gonna let the viewers decide. I don't think this is any cuter than the original, but the viewers can decide.
And just because I told
Image.
you this is the Bowsette style version of
Oh no.
Godzilla, come on, upload it.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. He's small, but there he is. I don't think that's. Oh my god, the Bowsette. Jesus Christ. That's not a Bowsette version, but that's more just anime girl Godzilla. Ugh. No. Why?
Well, because you forced my hand into it, I had to do it.
Weeb's got a waifu. I'm a weeb, but we gotta stop.
Okay,
Weebs
so
have to waifu
basically,
everything. We need to stop, fellow weebs. We don't need to waifu everything. I'm telling you
okay,
now. We need to
so
stop.
basically,
I'll
back
leave
to
it to,
back on point,
ladies and
back
gentlemen,
to Shin Godzilla.
you
So
can look up the waifu version of Shin Godzilla and see it
okay,
for yourself. I'm not showing you that one on stream. It's not bad. It's not safe for work. I'm just gonna let you do the work on that one. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the cute version of this thing. I don't think it's cute. They tried. Bless them. This artist tried hard, but I don't think it's cute.
yeah,
That's
but
just my
so
opinion,
yeah,
though.
we have the
You
first
decide in
form
the
of
comments
God.
below, though.
But yeah, the first form of Godzilla in this movie is horrifying, and then I like that we actually get to see it grow before it reaches what we would call Godzilla.
Hmm.
And I think in this movie, like he's kind of Godzilla is like he's CG, but he's also like motion capture. It's like a combination of techniques.
There's a
It's
bit
a
of
guy
soup.
that doing the
Yeah,
movement,
yeah,
like the guy in a rubber suit, but it's also CG.
yeah.
It's
Here and there,
great.
yeah, yeah. They blend it really well. It was hard for me to tell the difference. I feel, you
And
know,
also, holy shit, the atomic breath sequences.
yes, I like how they
Oh,
changed that up now. It's no longer just straight, plasma blast. Now it's kind of like we have to build up with the smoke and the fire. Then it kind of just it gets hotter and hotter and hotter till then it's the plasma blast, and then he
and
launches it
then
out.
and
It's
then
just
also he can shoot
devastatingly
it from
strong.
it. Yeah, and he also can shoot it from his tail, from his spines. This Godzilla is freaking dangerous, man.
Hmm. It's great though. It's really great. Like it's enjoyable to see. Again, I would love to see this Godzilla have that kind of build up noise that the Western version has with his
Yeah, oh my
spines lighting
god.
up. I would love to see that. If they take anything if there's anything I would love them to combine the spines being able to shoot and the tail being able to shoot, and combine that kind of, just that wind up to him launching the blast. Combine those
Yeah,
two things, and I think it'd be really cool to see and be really neat.
yeah. But alas, this movie kind of ends with an idea that there may be a sequel because they
Hmm.
freeze Godzilla,
And he's
which
still
shows
in
they
just
didn't
in the
they
city,
didn't
just
necessarily
standing there as a
kill him.
statue. Yeah.
Mhm. Like they don't necessarily kill him, which implies there might be a sequel. But actually, a sequel is not planned according to Toho,
Hmm. Okay.
and you
That's.
can
I
because
think.
it's been 4 years and all they did is kind of focus on doing like Godzilla animes now.
Yeah. I mean, which is fine. I don't think it needs a sequel. I would be interested if it got one because I would like to see how they carry the ideas that they put in here along. Because, like I
Mhm.
said earlier, right? Like this definitely focuses more on the how would a government react to something like this and handle it, right? which is interesting and unique. I do think this film doesn't succeed in carrying that idea all the way through, but it does try, and it's interesting and unique. But I would like to see, but because of that, I would like to see a sequel. I'd be interested in seeing a sequel and where they take that idea. Because the idea here is, hey, some of it is, Japan's political identity in the international world and where they kind of stand on things. Because one of the things here is like, oh, to deal with Godzilla, well, all the other countries come together and say, in order to deal with Godzilla, we're just going to nuke you, Japan. Deal. And
Mhm.
Japan's like, okay, guess we got a deal.
No.
And then, like, a couple of them say, we have a plan. Let us try this before you nuke us. And, they kind of get the US and France to side with them and give them a chance. So everyone's like, fine, we won't nuke you yet, Japan. But if you fuck it up, you're getting nuked, Japan. And they don't fuck it up. So, but again, it's interesting in that regard because, you do have this political identity of Japan. And I'm sure, right, like there's Japanese natives who loved this idea and really got behind it because it's way more important to them cultural wise, right? And because they live in
Yeah.
the country wise. As an outsider, I didn't connect with it as much, which obvious, right? I'm not going to. So that's why I sit here and say, to me as an outsider, I personally feel it dropped the ball a little bit on the political side of things, but I'm sure a Japanese native, right, would say the complete opposite potentially. But
Mhm.
with that said, I don't feel, while I feel it focuses a bit too much on the political side of things, I don't think it takes away majorly so. I don't think personally it achieves its goal completely of what it wants to try and do with that kind of message and ideal, but I don't think it, takes away so much that I think it makes the film horrible, right? I still think the film is fairly enjoyable and fairly unique and interesting.
Okay. And this brings us to the anime trilogy, which is on Netflix: Godzilla Planet of the Monsters, Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, and Godzilla the Planet Eater. I can sum all of those up in and okay, this was a decent one.
I would sum it up more in eh, eh, and eh. If that
Oh,
makes any
it
sense.
sounds like you kind of sounded like you're starting to ignition a motorcycle or something.
Fair. I I enjoyed the first one, I feel, a bit more than the next two. But at the same
I will say
time,
this. I'll give the first one this. It has an interesting setup. The
yeah,
thing is that this setup never goes anywhere in the other two
no,
movies.
not at all. And also, I think my biggest problem with this film is so damn dark. And I don't mean as a emotional or moral
No, no, no. The
implication, but
lighting
the
is dark. You
lighting is
can see.
so damn dark, and it doesn't help. My problems with the Netflix anime trilogy, too damn dark. Most of the characters look exactly the same. There's supposed to be two alien races here, but they're
Yeah,
humanoid alien races. But the only thing that sets them apart for the Exif, which is one alien race, is what they're wearing. And then they stop wearing that, so you can't tell them apart from any of the regular humans. And you have the Bulasados, who are supposed to be a different alien race as well from the humans and the Exif, but you can't tell anything. Again, I get like, oh, they're all humanoid, so they're supposed to be all the same, but it's like these are supposed to be, some of them are important characters, and one of the things you hear them constantly do throughout all three films, well, you're a Bulasado, so you think differently. Well, I'm an alien, so I think differently from you humans. It's like the fact that you have to continue to reference the fact that they're aliens is not a good thing. There's nothing that
yeah.
sets them apart, damn it. And that's a fucking
Agreed.
problem. And it kind of continues to take away from the fact that, like, oh, you Bulasados, oh, you Exif, oh, you humans. It's like, fucking hell. The fact that you're continuing to do this tells me you have no way to differentiate these three races, and you fail miserably.
Sadly so.
But guess what? There's not just three races of humanoids. There's a fourth one because there's actually humans that developed from bugs on Earth that are called the Hotua, who also look exactly like humans and have no differences whatsoever beyond the fact that they're tribal people. They're not as advanced as the humans and the Exif and the Blissados, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, but I don't give a damn because I don't care about any of them. The Hotu are the only interesting ones, and that's because they have a unique design at least. They're actually colorful compared to everything else, which is just dark metal, dark hallway metal, dark, dark, dark cave, dark more heart, dark metal,
Darkity Dark.
just dark. It's all dark. I want some fucking light. You're an advanced civilization, apparently. Where's your fucking light at? You're living in
Also,
a
if I may say, to all
bleh.
those people who said that there's not much Godzilla in Godzilla 2014, don't watch this.
Yet something they do with this Godzilla, which is interesting, I suppose,
Like I
is
said, interesting. There's a concept that he's kind of like a stone giant that every once in a while recharges and wakes up.
well, it's not just that, right? Like, there's also this from the human side of things. There's this, the message in Godzilla is normally like a message of protect the environmental message and and a message against against the idea of nuclear weapons, things like that, right? Like that's the big two messages within Godzilla most of the time, right?
Mhm.
In this one, we try and get more metaphysical with it. We try and get more philosophical with it because now we have this entire idea of a death cult going on, this entire idea of what it means to be human going on. And if you try and defeat and destroy Godzilla, if you want to kill Godzilla, you immediately decide you want to become something that's more than human because humans can't kill Godzilla. So you have to become more than Godzilla. You have to become a god or a monster yourself, etc., etc. Which goes into the third one, which is about the death cult, and how humanity, and how like the Exif are, they wanted to become immortal, and in their pursuit of immortality, they found out that there is no such thing, and everything is finite, and so we have to die for a higher purpose, and that higher purpose is being a death cult that summons Ghidorah. We'll get to that. And it's like, the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
it's they try and be more philosophical and metaphysical with it, while on top of the fact of having their environmental message and their nuclear weapons message. And it's like, stick to something here. All of it becomes, I feel like they try and do all these different messages and they just kind of fail at most of them. And none of them are really particularly that engaging or that unique or that interesting. I feel like, if you want this metaphysical, philosophical stuff, yeah, sure, Godzilla could possibly do that. But I don't think they succeed at doing it here. I feel like they don't necessarily fail miserably, but they don't not fail.
There's an interesting concept to this entire
I don't know if it's
trilogy,
even
which is
interesting. I don't even know if it's even interesting. It's there, but eh,
Mhm.
eh, sounds about right. Yeah, That's what
Uh,
I've got for you.
yeah, I agree. This is mostly
It doesn't help either that our main character Haruo, I don't care for him. His entire shtick is
It's a good thing
I
that
want.
these movies are kind of fresh in your mind because I honestly forgot them and I.
That's the thing though. They are very forgettable, right? Like none of the characters stick out in mind. You have to like
The only thing I can tell you about the third one is that Ghidorah is in this one, and that I like what they did with him being like, this giant planet thing. But
yeah, like
other than
he's
that,
Ghidorah's from a completely separate dimension, so he doesn't obey our laws and understanding of physics and stuff like that, right? Like he's going to a completely different dimension now, which is neat, unique, and interesting. And you also have like Ghidorah's not like a three-headed dragon; he's just three separate dragons in this thing, or at least that's what we see of him, right? And these things are huge and even bigger than Godzilla, right? And it's
yeah.
like Ghidorah can bend space time in our dimension, right? And it's all this crazy stuff. Again, going back to the metaphysical stuff, nonsense things, all sorts of stuff like that. But
Mhm.
it's just there's nothing here to latch onto. The story kind of flitters about all over the place somewhat. You have our main character, his entire drive is revenge against Godzilla, and he wants to kill Godzilla, and he hates Godzilla. And okay, that's but you never see anything else from him. You never see hardly anyone except the Hotua smile or have any kind of actual expression. Some of the characters do, like the scientist guy. He's probably the only other character I like. Him, the female the female character who you think is going to be our main love interest but dies because she gets sacrificed to like the Mecha Godzilla nano metal stuff that takes her over and was going to completely absorb her, but she doesn't get completely absorbed. But she's not dead, but she's not alive anymore either. She's like brain dead essentially, and it's like it just none of it's very interesting. It's unique, I guess, for Godzilla, but none of it's very interesting. It feels like it drops the
Again,
ball in a lot of ways.
like I said, there was an idea here.
Yes,
There,
there was an idea.
it just wasn't. It just wasn't really pushed to its maximum potential, I think. And a lot of people kind of agree with this. Like a lot of people don't really like this, and honestly, I can see why.
I like the two Hotoa twins, the Mina and Mina. They're cute. Their design is neat. I like it. More of them. Give me more of them. They're basically the Shibojin, I think, or the Cosmos stand-in for Mothra, who does nothing except being an egg. That's it.
Yeah, this is. I just remember that I was like, oh, I think they're kind of trying to do Mothra, and it's like, okay, this goes nowhere.
They basically say Mothra already fought Godzilla and died and left this egg behind, so we don't get to see that fight.
Rematch, maybe?
Yeah. Like, it'd be nice to see Mothra do something except other than being in an egg, but okay, cool. Mothra, well, I mean, to be fair, Mothra gets to be in a, headspace dream sequence sort of deal, and then we get to see the full form of Mothra,
Ugh.
and for like a brief 5 seconds, and that's it. And it does nothing else. And it's like, hi, bye, Mothra. Okay. Nothing else from you? Okay. It's just Ghidorah versus Godzilla, which is fine. Ghidorah versus Godzilla is kind of cool, but it doesn't last very long either. It's mostly focused
Yeah.
on our main character kind of, will he fall prey to the death cold or will he succeed over the death cold? And then you see him hug the death cult leader like, I miss you. I cared for you so much. And it's like, motherfucker just wiped out the rest of humanity. The only thing that's left is the Hotua and the few humans who were on the surface with the Hotua. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. And you're gonna hug this motherfucker like he was your best friend still. He's the one that caused all your grief, and he did it because he wanted you to be the ultimate sacrifice for Ghidorah. The fuck are you on about hugging him? And then, to beat it all, our ending to all of this is he still believes the death cult leader. The death cult leader's entire thing of like, humanity will always have hatred and fear, and because of that, there will always be a Godzilla that will come back to any civilization that advances far enough to have that hatred and fear. And Ghidorah will always come. And he's like, well, in order to stop this hatred and fear, I must kill myself and Yuko. And so we take the last machine that we have of Mecha Godzilla's Nano Machine City, and that's a whole thing too. We'll get
Yeah.
there maybe. And we fly it into Godzilla and like, you have to destroy us, Godzilla, because we're the last of the hatred for you. What? Couldn't you just live? You had a kid with that Hotua girl, apparently. You were happy, apparently, maybe. I thought, couldn't you just be happy and let go of the hate? Question mark?
Nope.
What? What? Why? Well, why is this happening?
Because,
Because humanity will always seek to prosper, and because humanity always seeks to prosper, that's a bad thing, and that'll bring upon them Godzilla, and that'll bring upon them Ghidorah. What? Why are you believing this death cult bullshit? Again, it's not handled well. It's just
yeah, this frustrates me so much.
he's just hearing it and it's all coming back to him and he's just like, oh, now I remember why I hate it
Can
all
we just
this.
talk about the future thing that's coming up? I don't have anything to say about this trilogy other than
I
it's boring.
It's not great. It's it's very much it's not a good end note for this era, and I'm glad this era is getting a new anime. To say that much. And I'm
And
glad
this
the
God,
Western stuff still has more movies coming because if this Netflix trilogy was the last thing Godzilla got, it's not terrible. It's not the worst, but it's no Roland Emmerich film, but it's definitely that's not a high bar to get over though either. If all I
yeah,
can say is you're better than the Roland Emmerich film, you're not doing great. I'll
mm,
give them this. Godzilla's cool to see in action.
yeah.
Some of the
Well,
characters and designs are interesting and I like them, but
but
that's
speaking
it.
of Godzilla animes and Netflix, next year we're getting a new anime series called
Hmm.
Godzilla Singular Point, which
And
is, for all intents and purposes, this is the next thing in in this new era,
mhm.
according to Toho. And it's from the same studio that did Beastars, which is
Yeah, you
interesting
tell me about that.
because
Very
we like
interesting.
Beastars.
Beastars is something else. So yeah, I'm very interested. I made the joke to HC when he told me it's by the same people who made Beastars. Oh, so you mean we're gonna have a lot of Godzilla sex? Okay.
Well, he is the king for a reason. No,
Oh
I'm
God,
kidding.
no.
Well, with that
Yeah,
note,
I'm interested to see where this era goes from here. Like, there's some interesting stuff here. Like, this definitely could become my favorite era. The
it
Netflix
could be
trilogy drags it
the
down quite a bit, but ignoring that, this could become my favorite era depending on this next anime and what the MonsterVerse series of films in the West brings.
yeah. I guess we'll see where this goes. I'm very much looking forward to Godzilla versus Kong,
Mm-hmm.
and this anime looks interesting. So
Agreed.
bring it, whatever Godzilla's gonna destroy, bring it on. I'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess coming off at the end of all this as someone who wasn't necessarily a Godzilla fan or all that into Godzilla, but knew of him, right? I think I have a newfound respect for the character and the franchise now, right? Going through
Mhm.
as much as I have in each of the different eras, it's cool, it's interesting and neat, unique and cool to see kind of how this franchise and the kaiju and the idea of kaiju has expanded and explored and tried different things and sometimes succeeded and sometimes failed throughout all this. Like, Godzilla was the progenitor of the idea of kaiju, and it's unique to see where it started and where it's come
And
to
just how
and
much
what
it
all it's gone
evolved
through.
over 66 years now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was an interesting journey and experience to see all this and kind of how it's gone
I'm
through
glad you
everything.
found it interesting
Yeah,
and that you
I've
enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed my time with it. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to say, "Oh, I'm a huge Godzilla fan now." I don't feel I'm any more of a Godzilla fan than I was before, but I do feel I have a newfound respect for the franchise and what all it's gone through over the years and how far it's come, and I'm interested to see where it goes now.
So, on that note, this is it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you
Hmm.
enjoyed. What is your favorite part of the Godzilla Reiwa Era? Do you think the Japanese part of it is better or the American one? Are you looking forward to Godzilla vs. Kong? You can tell us all about this in the comment section below. On
Hmm.
our Tumblr, which is Bearcast Team, on our Twitter, which is Bearcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
And I was Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.